Choshi wa do, watashi wa denki gishi. Hey everyone, pardon my Japanese. I'm learning a new language to keep my mind fresh. And hopefully I told you all, hey, what's up? I'm an electrical engineer. For all you newcomers, welcome. This is my channel. I'm an electrical engineer based out of Texas. This is my channel, What Up Ohms. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you for tuning in again. This topic will go into undergraduate experience of electrical engineers. So this is going to cater to electrical engineering students. You're new to the channel. I like to discuss my experience to hopefully help people in graduate programs as an electrical engineer student. And also I talk about recent grads and my experience of how I was a recent grad. And now I'm 5 years into the business, which I'll make videos later on about also my experience working as an electrical engineer in Texas. So let's dive into this video. I'm going to talk about a few sectors within electrical engineering that we study as engineering students in school and how that transcends into the workforce. A lot of the times we are studying either power or controls or programming within our degree plan, and we don't really know what awaits us. And that's what I'm going to do a quick rundown to show everyone. Hopefully it'll help you, but I'll show you all the type of work you can expect to be doing if you're interested in any of these sectors. So we're going to dive into the first one, which is power. Now, power is a pretty heavy subject. A lot of schools are very thorough. They have multiple classes. And if you're really interested in it, there's good news because the work, there's an abundance of it. There's a lot of jobs that are hiring for power, especially during the pandemic. There are even more in renewable energy and in utilities firms, things of that nature. And so in power, if you really like doing power factor correction, you like dealing with three-phase, single-phase transmission lines, evaluating motors, circuit analysis, power system analysis, if you're really into that, there's a lot of great jobs out there that will do the same amount of work that you do in school. You're actually going to be building on that and learning NEC, which is National Electric Code, NESC. Those type of codes will be also stuff that you have to learn once you're already in a workplace, depending where you go. But a lot of jobs out there, there's a great pay for engineers that go into power. And like I said, there's a demand. So if you liked studying that in school, there's good jobs out there that you won't have to go for a master's to continue doing that. And the reason I say that is because our next one that I want to talk about is controls. In controls, I'm talking about linear, nonlinear control theory. If you really like open loop, closed loop analysis, that type of studying, that type of work, using MATLAB, for instance, to solve problems, to make a system better, that was like a black box system, depending on what you're interested in. If you're really into that, there's not a lot of jobs out there that will do that. Now, if you are in controls, like a controls engineer, some of these jobs say controls engineer, and they really mean that you're going to be out there in the field. You're going to go to these wastewater industrial plants. You're going to go into the utility, like power grids. You're going to go out there, get your hands dirty, and deal with a control system that needs to get evaluated using logic-based algorithms, Boolean algebra type of niche. You know, that's the type of stuff you're going to end up doing, not so much being on a whiteboard or in paper or in MATLAB in a desk space. You're going to be out there in the field. So be careful when you are interested in controls, and try to apply as soon as you finish your bachelor's for controls engineering jobs. What you're really looking forward to, if you like that type of study in class, you want to go to your master's, your PhD, your research facilities, working with the school, getting published. That will keep you in the environment of researching, writing on paper, figuring out problems, using MATLAB. That is where Bodhi plots, all that type of stuff is going to be in school, unfortunately, because the demand for that type of work isn't as high like as power. And I'm getting this from this knowledge and this advice I got for me because I liked control theory in school. My professor told me, if you like this type of stuff, just stay in school because you'll get a master's, you'll do more research, you'll get published or get published on theirs, like you're a helper, you're an assistant, and then teach. That's how you'll stay in that type of work environment. You won't really find it out there in a normal job. Like, let me just go apply to a company and become a controls engineer. They're going to have you go into the field, and it's going to be completely different than what you do in school. And okay, so that's the second one. The third one is programming. As electrical engineers, we actually have multiple classes throughout our degree plan that we will learn a different language. Maybe in your school you went one language straight across, but most schools I know of, like the one I went to in Texas, we dealt with Fortran and C Sharp, assembly, Verilog, HTML a little bit. So there was so many different languages we had to learn from one semester to the next. We weren't becoming pros and like experts in it, but we were able to learn new programs quickly. And that's what's very important. As electrical engineers, we have that advantage that we can learn multiple things very quickly and apply it and get results and do research, and you take your exams and you do really well to move on. And that's what helps in the workforce. If you really like programming, you need to pick one of the languages that you are more comfortable with and that you can do really well work in, and apply to a job that has the job responsibilities for that language, or that they allow you to pick any language. There's a lot of jobs like that. And you'll find these jobs not as an electrical engineer, you'll find it under software engineer or data scientist. But be careful, because data science is a whole nother monster over there. You're gonna have to learn new things with data. So I would stick to software engineer or an electrical engineer that does programming. Look at the job responsibilities when you apply for these jobs as an electrical engineer, as an entry-level electrical engineer that does programming. So between the three I've talked about so far, power, controls, and programming, I would say power and programming are the number one ones to pick for, as in like the type of field that whatever you did in school, you will be applying it in your job. Not so much in controls, and there's also less jobs in control theory than there is in power and in programming. I mean, programming runs the world right now. There's so many like software engineer, data scientist, all that good stuff. So that'll allow you to go into that direction if you like programming. So out of those three, let's go the fourth one. I said miscellaneous. It's miscellaneous because there's different degree plans all throughout the US and overseas that they try to stick to the same type of classes and disciplines within electrical, but a lot of schools offer more in-depth than the other. Like at my school, we didn't talk about machine learning and all that more in-depth programming, but as an undergrad, but there was RF and antenna, electromagnetics, and telecommunications, signal systems. These are miscellaneous because some schools will only have 1 or 2 classes per sector. So if you are interested in those, there is jobs as RF and antenna and telecom. You'll do 5G, IoT, engineer, that type of stuff. But it is going to fall into you having to do a little bit more education or certifications outside of school to land those jobs. And yes, most of those jobs you will do what you studied, you will apply it at work, but it will go into more of a project management. And here's to round it all over, all the sectors that you can do in electrical engineering will eventually lead to project management. You'll see a lot of jobs listings as project engineers, and that's what that is. You're going to be the electrical engineer who deals with electrical issues, but you will be mainly managing projects throughout. You'll be doing multiple projects in a week, in a month, and you're going to have to keep up with it, talking to vendors that sell these electrical equipments, or you can be talking to contractors, that people in construction that are building the stuff that was designed by you and your team. So there's going to be a lot of that. So get ready for becoming more of a project manager type of responsibility and role when you become an electrical engineer. There are jobs, if you go into research, like I said, military, security clearance jobs, those will have you designing over and over. Semiconductor fabrication labs, those fabs will have engineers design, and eventually you can pull into a project manager. But the other jobs, like if you work at firms and subcontractors, energy companies, utilities, those will have you become a project manager quicker. Within a year, you can be pushing to become management level type of responsibility because that's what they want you to do. And in another video, I plan to talk about if you liked power and computers, controls, those sectors, and you want to move further, become more of a management, become a higher level, a director, you're going to need something they call a professional engineering license. And that's what I'll talk about in another video. The PE license will help you move forward. It's what you get after your bachelor's. You get EIT certification, which is engineering training, and then you become a PE. So in the other video, I'll talk about that more in depth. But for this, I wanted to just give you a rundown that each sector, there are jobs out there, but be prepared for that project engineer status. That's what you'll be doing. You'll be mainly managing and working with designers, but managing projects continuously at the same time. So that's what I want to cover. If you really like any of these sectors and you are working in the job force right now, or you're thinking about working and you are applying for jobs, you can send me an email. It's in the description, or comment below, and let's get a conversation going. So that way other people that are starting engineering, electrical engineering, can see that, get inspired, or ask more questions. And because that's what it's all about. We need to help each other out as a community to unite and let other engineers and upcoming engineers get inspired. So with that, I'll see you in my next video. Give it a thumbs up if you like this kind of content, and I'll see you later. You feel me, Ohms?